Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk weird. I'm just gonna talk normal now, whatever normal is. I'm gonna talk about Tesla and see a few things that are very important. I think we are at a very important resistance zone, and I think if we break above the resistance, I think it's gonna go up a lot higher from there. The If you think about the probability whether or not it breaks above the resistance zone, I think it's gonna the chance by this breaking out of the resistance zone by 2024, I think would be high. So if you just look at Gann square here, I do this based on 360 and the factor of 10, and you can see the beautiful market symmetry that it has shown in terms of trying to break through an arc, backtest an arc, reject it, push through, reject by horizontal, backtest the arc, got close to the angle, rejected by the arc, push through the arc, and then backtest the horizontal here underneath resistance here, the arc, for about 3 years now, right? We are at a point where we're getting really close to potentially break out of this arc over here. And if we're going to break through this arc here, I think it can potentially go up to the 600s over the next couple of years. Or if it breaks through the 600 zone over here, it can potentially even go up to like 3 digits, anywhere from 3 to 5 years. I think it's entirely possible, right? The other couple of ways to kind of look at it is, first of all, I don't try to fudge these numbers. You have to use multiples of 45. You're talking about the duration, but I guess you can change. Right now the factor is 10. I can change it to 5, and it can give you a little bit of a different picture. It still shows very beautiful symmetry. We pushed through the arc, back tested, got kind of a little bit rejected here, and it found support at the bottom of the arc. Came back tested the arc, shot through the arc up here, got rejected at angle initially, pushed through, came back test, and it's basically finding support here at the arc over here, right? So if you do a factor of 5, it does look like it wants to just keep on running up to around like 600 something, right? So basically it's telling you the same thing, but the factor of 10 is basically telling you that, hey, we're at resistance right now, and if it breaks through, then yeah, we can get through up there. But if you look at a factor of 5, it does look like we are going to break out. If you look at a factor of 10, it does look like we might need to be a little bit cautious, although I do think that things are looking much better. Now, if you look at a factor of 1, it also gives you very beautiful market symmetry. It's very beautiful market symmetry. It price is a little bit outside the square, which is not ideal, but right now you're also seeing that, hey, we're also at a angle resistance level over here. So a couple of things are telling us, hey, we break above this angle over here, or we break above the arc. If you look at factor 10, we might end up gravitating up towards the 600s here. That's going to be probably where price is going to end up at. And a couple other things to kind of put it into perspective here too. If you look at the Elliott Wave in terms of where you think price would end up, and I can do this here real quick. I'm just going to basically draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a valid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where this is the beginning of 1. It peaked right around here, and then 2 really ended up being here. 3 was that big giant parabolic wave up, and then 4 was when price went back to 101, and then 5 it could potentially end up anywhere around 600 to about 4 digits, anywhere around here over the next few years, anywhere from 2 to 5 years. We really don't know where that's going to land. If we end up having a truncated 5, then we may end up landing around 600. If we end up having a little bit more of a prolonged 5, which is what you would expect normally, then you might end up hitting somewhere around the 1000 range up here, right? We don't really know how far it's going to land, but it does look like Tesla wants to go up higher over time. Now, why do I think that Tesla's going to go up a lot higher over time? Well, if you just look at a couple of indicators here. One is if you look at the 20-month moving average, it has really broke above the 20-month moving average here on pretty decent volume here in July. This July breakout through the 20-month moving average and then turned it into from resistance into support is pretty convincing because of the volume. And so far, because of that, you're holding this as support on the way up. With the last month in August, you had this big giant wick underneath, but with some really pathetic volume. This is really suspicious for, bears just not able to push through things down the support. And sure enough, what do we have so far in the month of September? Or so-called September bear for a lot of people. We are having a really bullish candle so far. So I do think that that's one thing. It's important to look at volume. This really looks like a big volume breakout, right? The other thing also to important to look at is the RSI on the monthly here, because you also had a very, very important, um, really very important breakout here. Uh, how do I say that? If you are looking at this zone really ever since around 2023, you can see that there's a pretty decent trend line over here that seemed to have gotten broken right around here. So because it's gotten broken, actually, if you can draw it a little bit lower, this actually gives you even a better picture here in terms of what's happening. You're seeing that there's a trend line that's been going on for about a year or so, and the trend line was broken in July on high volume, and then we also had an August back test on low volume. This basically signal most likely going to have some kind of bullish continuation afterwards. I don't make the rules up, it is just what it is. So I do think that things are looking pretty bullish overall for Tesla. Now, for the monthly chart, you do have a little bit of resistance up here above around the 270s. That's going to be some resistance here, but I think we already had Tesla resistance once it got rejected, and most likely the second time we test for it, I think we're probably going to getting pushed through it the next time when we do it. Now, you're talking about all these bullishness, so what's so bearish? Why are you talking about saying that we're at resistance right now? Well, the resistance is at the 2-week Ichimoku cloud. You're also seeing that right here, right? I mean, I'm not really making that up here, and you're also hitting the upper Bollinger Band here on the 2-week chart here as well. So you're hitting some resistance right around the zone where it could potentially be rejected there again. I think a lot of people underestimate the 2-week Ichimoku cloud in terms of how strong a resistance this has been over the last 2 years. It really has been rejected after it really broke through underneath the cloud over here. It has really just been rejection after rejection, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, down the cloud, push through, rejection here, and so far we're again at a resistance zone, right? So there is a little bit of a resistance that we are dealing with, just like what you're seeing here on the Gann chart. And it would be nice if we're able to break through. But so far, we are still underneath resistance. Although one thing I really love about this 2-week chart is even though the 2-week Ichimoku cloud has been rejecting Tesla for so long, for 2 years, the good thing about it is that it continues to happen on declining volume, which really gives me promise that I think is going to potentially break out, because it does look like the resistance maybe getting a little bit exhausted here. So it does give me some confidence that I think that we're getting close, even if we end up getting rejected so far here, and we might come back down, back test the 2-week Ichimoku cloud down here as support before pushing through, and it would be around 220s or so if it ends up doing that. It doesn't have to do that, but if it ends up coming back down to 220s, there's really nothing to get scared of. I think that would actually be a very, very, very healthy thing, even though people would lose their mind because Tesla would drop another 30-something points. But that would actually be a very, very healthy higher low type situation for you to push through and to go up a lot higher. And that would actually be a very, very good accumulation zone if that happens. It's important to think about price drop and to have a plan if it happens at support. Not to say the support would necessarily hold. Of course, it can go push down a lot further, but that's just not what I'm seeing here in the charts so far. On the weekly here, it really gives you a very beautiful, dare I say it, a very beautiful inverse head and shoulder pattern. Or if you just look in isolation, this really looks like a big giant cup over here with a handle. And it looks like it could potentially break about the horizontal zone over here. You don't really need any indicators to let you know that around the 250s is a very important zone. And if you're able to break through, great. If not, you're probably going to come back here, form a little bit of a handle here before pushing up. Regardless, I think that we are at resistance, but we are doing so in a very, very sustainable manner, to the point that I think that a breakout is imminent. I just don't know when that's going to be. Now, again, if you ask me where price is going to go, I already showed you on the Gann chart, right? But if you ask me where price is going to go in another way, how am I going to try to figure that out? I was mentioning about 600. I was mentioning about maybe it's in the mid or high 600s or so. It's also mentioning maybe even up in the thousands. Is there any confluence that could potentially support my claim? Well, if you look at the Fibonacci retracement and extension levels, another reason why I think we're at resistance right now is pretty clear, is at 0.5, right? And it's been resistance over here, right? So if we break through that, I think we get to 300 in a hurry. And if we break through that, I do think that we're probably going to end up gravitating up to around 600. And above that, we might hit 900 or 1200 up here. But that might take years for that to happen. Anyway, just want to kind of show you where we are. I do think we're at resistance, but I do like the chart. And I think I'm going to keep buying anywhere underneath 250. I just want to kind of show you my rationale for doing that. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.